All right, egg donor compensation. In the United States, egg donors are compensated usually quite a lot, not for their eggs, but for their time and commitment to the egg donor process. Um, some people say you shouldn't do it for the money, but I mean, let's be real. A lot of donors are at least initially interested in it because of the money. But I've said in a few videos, you shouldn't do it just for the money. There should be a desire, in addition to the desire for money, to help intended parents, to help couples that are facing infertility, to help, a gay male couple that has to have an egg donor to be able to have a baby using a gestational surrogate. So there needs to be that desire to help, and it needs to be as important or more important than getting paid. Because if you don't have that altruistic motivation behind becoming a donor and you're just doing it for the money, when that money runs out, yet your eggs are still out there, potentially that egg is turning into a child, you might regret your decision. So make sure it's not just about the money. Okay, in regards to the payment, how much you'll make depends on a few things. One of the first things is geography. So a lot of times when you are in the South, donors don't make quite as much as they would, in big cities like Los Angeles, San Francisco, Chicago, New York. Usually donors in the big cities are going to make more. In the South, I think typically donors make $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000. That goes up each year, but that's about average. Of course, there's exceptions. There is no organization that really strongly regulates how much donors can get paid. So it really depends on the agency and, again, just what intended parents are willing to pay. In the bigger cities, like for example in Los Angeles, there are some donors that get paid over $25,000 for a cycle. Most start out at about like $9,000 or $10,000 for a first cycle. And that's another thing. When you're a first-time donor and you're more like unproven, it's not proven that you'll have a good reaction to the fertility medications, you're going to be on the lower end. So like $9,000, $10,000, everything's negotiable. So if you want a little bit more, you can always ask. You might not get it, but ask for what you want. But again, be willing to go down if it's just like a no-go. Expect 9 or 10,000 in the bigger cities. Typically, each time after your first time, you can go up by about $1,000. Some agencies recommend that you just go up by $500 increments each cycle. Some let you go up by 1,000. And again, there's no rule about it. So after your first cycle, if you want to do it again, but you had a pretty hard time on the medications and it took you like weeks to recover, you might say, I'll do it again, but I want an additional $2,000 from the last time. So maybe you got 10,000 the first time, the next cycle you want to ask for 12,000. Fine. But again, typically it's about $1,000 more each cycle. And that also depends on the results. If you had an egg donation cycle and they didn't really retrieve many eggs, a pregnancy didn't result, it might be hard to get matched again. If you had really great results, they retrieved tons of eggs, the intended parents got pregnant, then you might be in a position to ask for $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 more dollars the next cycle. Again, this is not like a black and white decision. There's a lot of variables, and again, you can ask for whatever you want, but I would consult with the agency about it because they're going to have their finger on the pulse of what intended parents are willing to pay, especially in the area that you're in. And they'll also be able to give you some insight about the intended parents that are interested in you. They might let you know this couple is really interested in you, but this is like their life savings that they're using. Are you willing to take a little bit less? And that's your choice. You can say yes or no. Usually they're not going to tell you if the couple's loaded and be like, ask for as much as you want. But a lot of times they will be honest if the couple is kind of struggling and they really need any help they can get with cost. So you know, ask the agency about what they think with compensation, but ultimately it's your choice what you're going to ask for. And it's really common for there to be some negotiation. You might say 13,000, and then the agency comes back and says, are you willing to take 12,000? You're like, I'll take 12,500, and then maybe there's a deal. I know it sounds like so business-like, but that is something that happens in this industry. So again, criteria, geographical region that you're in, how many times you've donated, how successful those donations are, the financial situation of the intended parents, and your comfort level being a little risky with asking for a lot. You know, this works well for some donors, it doesn't work well for some. You know, I knew one donor that on her second cycle, she had made 10,000 the first one, and the second one she said, I'm gonna ask for $15,000. And she held firm, and the intended parents that were interested in her said, we don't want to go with somebody that's asking for that much money. And she lost that match. I've known other donors that barely asked for anything more, and they probably could have gotten a lot more. I mean, so you have to use your instinct. And I think when deciding how much you want to ask for, I would really think about, you know, especially if you've already been a donor before, think about how much discomfort was I in? How much work did I have to miss? If you had to miss work, that's a big thing. How much did you miss out on in regards to income from your regular job? How stressful was it for me? You know, and so when you're asking for money the second, third, fourth time around, use that criteria to decide, what is it worth to me? You know, would I do it for $10,000 again? Probably not. Would $13,000 make it worth it to me? Yeah, maybe so. I'll ask for that amount. So again, ask for the amount that you're comfortable with. Also knowing that, again, if you make a big jump in price, it might scare some intended parents away. So find that agency that you trust, which I made a video about on here. And then once you have that agency that you trust, work with them to find an amount that feels good to you. All right, let me know if you have any questions about this in the comments below.